Good day everyone, it is Caitlin and today we are making the skirt to my wedding dress. Hello and welcome. So we get to actually start working on the dress this month. So we're starting with the skirt, and I am using Truly Victorian's 1869 Grand Parlor skirt as well, kind of the base. I'm extending it. I want a much longer train. And then I'm also making it a tiered skirt, so there'll be 2 layers to it. The bottom layer, and then one that's about 12.5 inches higher, I guess. So, and then I'm also having to make some length adjustments to it. So, but yeah, that's the base pattern here. I don't like drafting gored skirts, so I just use pattern for that. Anyway, so for each pattern piece, there are 4 pieces. There's a front, a side back, and a back. The front's cut on the fold, the back's cut on the fold, and there's 2 side fronts and 2 side backs. For each one of those pieces, I'm having to cut 3 sets. So I'm cutting a lining fabric, which is this. This is the same fabric, the Pima cotton that we use for the chemise, drawers, petticoats, all that. That's going to be the base skirt. So I'm cutting a whole skirt out of the lining. Then I'm also cutting a 17-inch strip of silk for the very bottom layer, because I don't want the whole bottom layer to be silk when it's going to be covered by an overlay. That's just a waste of silk. I have enough silk to do it, it's a waste of silk. So I'm cutting 17 inches from the bottom of the pattern pieces for the bottom skirt, and then I'm cutting another base piece, but 12.5 inches shorter than the lining, the actual skirt, for the top piece. So it's going to end up being bottom skirt, and about 12 inches up will be the second layer. So it is quite a few pieces to kind of keep track of, but let's cut the center front here. I'm using my lining as the pattern now that I've gotten the length adjusted. And that's sewing all the pieces together. So I'm sewing all the lining pieces together, and then all the top silk pieces together, and then all of the bottom silk pieces together. At which point we're going to sew the bottom silk to the bottom lining, or to the lining, I guess. So even though only the 12 inches will be showing, I want 5 extra inches that way. It looks better that way, and if the skirt flies up a little bit, you're not going to see the cotton lining. Okay, so there's my center front. There's my front and there's my front. Okay. So I have this very long piece that is to be the bottom silk bit. So let's go ahead and pin that together with what we just cut. Once I get all of this sewn together, so all 3 skirt pieces sewn together, I will cut a little bit extra lining to face the top skirt in, because I need that to be weighed down just slightly so it doesn't flop all over the place. It's a very light silk. And then we'll sew this to the skirt lining, and then we'll be ready to attach the 2 pieces. I do some work on the lace, because the lace has a modern eyelash edging, which I'm not a fan of, and I've cut eyelashes off before, so I'm going to do that with the lace. That way it is nice and pretty, in my opinion. I don't care for the eyelash. It's popular in lace nowadays. I'm just not a fan. So as per usual, we're using my great-grandmother's machine, her 1907 treadle, to stitch all of this together. So we're going to see how she handles the lace. If she's not liking the lace, I'll move to another different machine. But hopefully we can do the whole dress on that machine. And I've sewn up all the way on all of the pieces. I have not left a gap for an opening anywhere. I haven't decided where I want my opening to be, and I'll just cut off some stitching and tie a knot whenever I decide that. Okay, so this is the bottom skirt, and I have the silk facing on it, and then I'm just now going to go over and stitch it on at the top. I'm going to do it by machine, because why not? is the upper skirt, and I'm sewing on a little facing like we talked about just because it needs a little bit of weight at the bottom. And I also need to hem it. Okay, so I know I briefly told y'all that I was going to be cutting out the eyelashes from the lace, and I wanted to show you what that looks like. So this is how the lace comes. These are what we refer to as eyelashes, and you don't find them on period laces. And all this is not a period lace, obviously, it's a modern lace, because I can't afford that much period lace, and let's be honest, even if I could afford it, you really wouldn't be able to find as much lace as I need. So I want to take these off. So what I've been doing is just cutting them down. And so the lace now looks like this. And it's a pretty simple process. I mean, I'm just taking little tiny scissors and just cutting it down. But I like the look of it much better now that the little eyelash things are gone. To this point I have, because the lace only comes in I think it's 120-inch widths. So I'm going to have to sew several of them together to get the amount I need. I'm going for roughly 1.5 times the amount of ruffle. So like there's how much the skirt is, and I'm doing that plus half for the lace. So it's going to be lightly gathered, not like super full gathered. But like a decent amount of gathers. Like I would consider that a moderate amount of gathers. So I'm doing that by machine because I can. And then we'll just sew on the gathered lace at the edge, at which point I'm going to put the top skirt on top of the bottom skirt. I did forget to put in a pocket, so we're going to do that. And because the skirt fabric is sheer, I don't want to just put it onto the top layer skirt because you're going to see it underneath. So I want to do it under both skirt layers. So I'm going to have to attach those at one seam, probably these front to center front, or the front side to center front seam, like where the front piece meets the side front piece. And after that's just waistband, and of course, well, gathering it. But it's all hemmed up now since we put the facings on, and that's all looking good. So really, it's just trimming and putting it together. Alright, so pleating the waistband. So I got it all nice and pleated, and the very last couple inches are going to be gauged. So I put in my gauging threads, pull those. It's going to be 5 inches of gauging, but it's 2.5 on either side because I went for a center back closing. I decided that about 5 minutes ago. Even all that out. And now I get to sew this all down, and I'm going to do a little bit more of a modern waistband, so I am going to encase it, so kind of like a petticoat basically. So I'm going to stitch across with the machine, turn it under, and then whip it by hand on the other side. And then we'll be doing closures, and that's about it for the skirt. Alright, so I have the waistband sewn on and then pinned. So on the center back closing, I'm just whipping the silk and the lining together. Okay, so finished the waistband, started really looking at the skirt and realizing I did not like where the lace met the silk. It was just too stark of a contrast. I didn't like it. So I had to go to 2 Hobby Lobbies to get enough, but I found this. So all my jewelry is pearls, so I thought this fit well, and the soutache braid isn't exactly period, but it's period-esque, so at least it fits with the design of the outfit. So I found 4 packages of 2 yards at one store and 4 packages of 2 yards at the other store, which were 45 minutes apart. So yeah, I did a lot of driving this evening when I should have been sewing, but we're good because the storms that are coming through have postponed my bridal portraits, and so I no longer have to do them tomorrow. We're going to do them next week, so I have a little more time to work on this. But yeah, so we're putting this on. Very much liking what it looks like. It's upside down, but you know, that's what it is. So I am just getting my sewing. So I'm just doing this by hand. I figured it'd be the best and simplest way to do this. That would be at least not, sorry, I'm sitting on my scissors. It'd be the simplest way that would look the best. Doing this by machine will A, be very difficult with the beads, and even if I managed it, honestly, you'd see that seam line, and this is something that it looks better to be done by hand. So I've been using the little loops in the soutache and just doing one on the bottom, one on the top, one on the bottom, one on the top, kind of just going in and out like that, making sure to cover the line of the gathered lace. Yeah, it's looking a lot better now. So I used about 4 yards per skirt, so the top and the bottom. It averaged out to be just under 2 yards per size. So I used basically 4 packages. Wait, sorry, not 4 yards. 4 yards per side, so that's 8 yards total. So yeah, I used 4 packages. 2 packages on the bottom, plus a little bit, and then a little less than 2 packages on the top layer. So I have 4 packages left. And that's just going to be used for a bodice, which I'll probably only use 1 package for. And I don't think I'm going to put this on the sleeves, but I haven't quite decided exactly what I'm doing for sleeves, so that could change. And that'll give me just a little bit extra for whatever. I mean, I might choose to put some, because I'm doing ribbon on all the bouquets. Maybe I want to add this to the ribbon, and I'm just going to keep it around just because you never know what you want it for. And if after the wedding I didn't use it, I'll just return it, so we'll see what I use. And I'll get to work on the bodice tomorrow and the sleeves, all the trimming bits. I have not added a bustle to this, so I've considered adding a bustle just so I can dance in it because of the train. And I'm undetermined on whether I want to do that or not. Because there are some options. I mean, the original skirt does show these little orange blossom flowers, I guess. And so one option that I thought about was hiding hooks and eyes under those. I also considered doing tapes on the inside of the bodice, or sorry, the skirt, that would hide that. And I just have not come to a conclusion that I like yet. So we're gonna just not do it for right now. And I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. Because quite frankly, I don't need to have that figured out yet. Alright, let's go ahead and put the hoop and such on the mannequin. Because I am somewhat determined not to wear any of this on camera until the final thing. So typically y'all see me in the garments that we make. We're not going to do that for the wedding ensemble. We're going to save everything till the very end and then get dressed all together. So I think we'll just put it on the mannequin today. So it'll be slightly better than seeing it on the floor or on the cutting board like we usually do. So at least you'll get to see it on something. And there we are. So that is what the finished skirt looks like, and I think it's fantastic. So I was really not liking the skirt until I added that trim, and I think the trim really says bridal, and it's really pulling it all together, which makes me happy. Yes, it is on her hips, because her hips are about the size of my waist, and also because she's taller than me. Edith is taller than me, just slightly. This is actually the height, so like her hips, where that skirt is right now, is basically my waist. So that is how it's going to fit on me. So on the floor on the front, but you can see there is a train in the back, a very slight one. Yeah, you could have done it a little bit longer, but honestly, I think that's perfect. So it's lovely. The lace is beautiful, and it lays very nicely. So the thing about synthetic laces is it's very hard to find synthetic laces that lay like original silk lace. Now this one definitely does not have a silk texture. It is heavier than original silk laces, but it lays like a silk lace. It's a very high quality nylon, so it's not scratchy and it's not stiff like most synthetic laces are today. It's very flowy and it's very light, and so it actually does work very well for the style, and it fits very nicely with the concept of a Victorian gown. So I'm quite happy with it. Yes, the trim is synthetic as well, but you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes, because I need this dress done pretty quickly, and I didn't have time to research all of the trim options that I had, and honestly, I love the way it looks, and it matches with the pearls that I'm going to be wearing. The soutache works well with the period, so I'm just happy with it. So it is quite lovely. I'm going to go ahead and move her to kind of the front. You can kind of see the front. So there's the gown from the front. You can kind of see what that looks like. But yeah, I mean, overall I'm quite pleased with it. It just needs good iron. And we'll start on the bodice tomorrow, and we'll have a finished dress by tomorrow, honestly. Or at least for me. Y'all have to wait for another month to see the bodice, but I'll have a finished dress tomorrow. It's supposed to be done today, but, you know, several hour shopping trip trying to figure out what trim I wanted kind of cut that. So, yeah, glad I have a couple extra days to figure this out. But overall, I'm very pleased with the bodice. Overall, I am very pleased with this skirt, and I'm glad it's done, and it looks great. So, I'm happy with it. See you next month when we work on the bodice. Have a fantastic week, and I'll see you back here on Monday with our regularly scheduled living history videos.